Guys, welcome back to the Northeast Florida Surf Fishing Forecast for this weekend. Was on the beach earlier today, catching bait, sand fleas, and ghost shrimp for the Florida Surfcasters tournament tomorrow. And sand fleas are caught first thing this morning on the high outgoing tide. As the tide was going out, there were quite a few going down, and made it real easy to catch. And I hit the beach again at dead low tide to get the ghost shrimp. If you never caught those guys before, they're not like the sand fleas or the Donax that move up and down with the tide. Literally, the low tide mark along the beach is where you're going to find them. As the tide comes in, they stay in their holes. And in fact, we'll have to have a get together down on the beach to show you how to catch them. They're very easy to catch when they're in about 2 to 3 inches of water. The holes, you'll get 2 to 3 ghost shrimp out of each hole. What I've noticed is when the holes are on the edge of the water line and there's no water on them, you can see the ghost shrimp bubbling up, filtering out or whatever they do out of their holes. It's really hard to catch them, but when there's water over their holes, 2 to 3 inches or more, super easy to catch. But you have to have this, guys. If you don't have that, you might as well forget it. They're extremely soft, and if you go to throw them, they're just going to fly right off the hook. But you take this Miracle Thread, bait thread, Chip has it, Strike Zone has it. You get 100 feet of it. I think it was like $3.99. Real easy. I got several packs of it because I've been using ghost shrimp a lot lately. It's a good bait if you haven't used them before. It just pulls right out of the tube, guys. Wrap it. I'll do a video tomorrow when I'm on the beach. I usually hook that ghost shrimp 2 to 3 times, or as many times as I can, on a 2/0 Circle C Eagle Claw hook. Then wrap this all around it and just break it off, then cast it out. The pompano, whiting, drum have been eating them, and sand fleas are working as well. If you check out the forecast, guys, it looks pretty good for the tournament tomorrow and fishing in general. Even if you're not fishing the tournament, the water is pretty clean from what I've seen. Much of Northeast Florida, even further south. I did see a few reports further south, though, that huge clumps of seaweed are washing in. And if you've ever dealt with seaweed while you're surf fishing, you know that can be a buzzkill. It can end your trip really fast because when you get that seaweed on your line, it's a couple 100 pounds at times, and the big old... Yeah, Cocoa Beach, definitely that's a good area. They're snooking the surf there too, guys. Some good snook fishing in that area. That seaweed is a pain, so I know a lot of people that fish a lot, they'll just turn around and leave. But like I said, the water's beautiful. We got a high tide first thing in the morning and a low tide around 1 o'clock or so, which for where I fish is perfect because the area I fish in South Ponte Vedra, that lower tide, like the last 2.5 hours of outgoing and the first hour and a half of incoming, are usually what I call the money time because that's when I get most of my fish. And if you haven't checked out the beach the last few days, guys, the tides on the high tide are extremely high, unfishable. Especially if you're like in Jack's Beach, you better make about a 400-yard cast just to hit the drop off on that high tide. But the winds are backing off. They were northeast, as you know, 20 miles an hour for 2 to 3 days. Today they were east, northeast, and east southeast, 6 to 10. For Saturday, they're calling south, light south in the morning, switching over to the east southeast, 5 to 10. And then on Sunday, pretty much the same thing. The only difference is in the afternoon, it's going to be picking up out of the southeast. I saw upwards of 15 miles an hour. So we're going to start getting that south to north current, and imagine we may start to see some seaweed up this way if it stays like that long enough. Water temperature is 75 right now in Jack's Beach, 75 in Flagler, and 74 in Fernandina. If you haven't felt the water the last few days, it had a little bit of a chill to it. That constant northeast wind feels like it really lowered that temperature by a couple of degrees, which it did. The beach, you know, honestly, I don't worry about the times, more so the tides, because you can hit a beach early, but if it's the wrong tide, then it's not going to matter. And my general rule of thumb is if it's going to be a very clean water day with no clouds, I like to just take the tides out of it. But when it's super clear, bluebird skies, I hit it early in the morning and right before dark, because usually when that water's clear like that and no cloud cover, that bite really shuts off as that sun gets up high. If you got cloud cover and clean water, that bite may go on all day long. And but that clean and clear, I call it, is everybody said, oh, it's great water today. Well, some of those days are the worst fishing days. For me, the right tide for me, I like the last 2.5, 3 hours of outgoing and first few hours of incoming. But each beach is different. Like, so if you're fishing at Talbot, if you've ever fished up at Little Talbot, unless there's some new cuts formed, high tide is very hard to fish at Little Talbot. But on the lower tides, it's perfect because you got a huge trough or slough that runs pretty much parallel all the way down the beach. And I've caught a lot of fish. I used to fish up at Talbot a few years ago, 3 to 4 times a week, and we would just murder the pompano and whiting on that low tide. But once that tide would start to come in, man, you're like backing up every 5 minutes, moving your stuff back because the tide just rushes in. If you go to Ponte Vedra, it was a high impact beach, and still they started dredging and pumping sand. So I got a report today that Vilano is there's no beach at high tide because of all the sand they've pumped apparently, and the water was dirty. All that fresh sand is mixing into the water. So Vilano, if anybody's fished down there, you could probably give me a report. But I got a report from Brian. He said it was pretty bad. But then you got to the picnic tables north, it was clean again. So that's a good thing. Yeah, but like high impact beaches, guys, honestly, you can fish that on a high tide because it's sloped and you're fishing right into the trough right in front of you. Those kind of beaches can be tricky on a lower tide because you got the trough, and just say dead low tide, it has 3 to 4 foot of water in it. Well, now you got to either make a really long cast or wade through that water to get back up on the sandbar and throw out. So really each beach is different. But like I'd say Jack's Beach, the lower tides are better because the beach at high tide, it is extremely flat. They have pumped so much sand up in Jack's Beach over the years, it's completely flat. Further south, I see like where Kathy fishes in Flagler. That's a high impact beach. Has a nice trough, dead high tide, and that area usually is very good. And what I suggest on those areas, if you have to go at a low tide, if you can, scout those areas, the high impact beaches at dead low tide, to where maybe you can find a sandbar that sort of cuts east to west, and then you can walk on that and then hit the trough again. If you can't cast, 100 yards, that can get quite old after a while, throwing that far in especially if the catfish or sharks are around. Jay, no, I do need to get a drone because that would be awesome. You might actually be able to see where the schools of fish are as well on a clear day. But what I tend to do also is watch where the ospreys are circling. If you notice they're circling a confined area pretty consistently, chances are there are fish in that area because they have phenomenal eyesight, and they are not going to just circle an area if there's nothing in that area to be caught. So a few weeks ago, I was reeling in a pompano, and I saw a shadow go over my head, and he dove down, and I had to yank the pompano. He dove to get the pompano. I just got it out of his way in time. I've seen the aftermath of someone getting grabbed by an osprey. They had hooked him up on the pier, and he got all tangled up, so they put a towel on its head, which you're supposed to do so it can't see you. Well, the towel slipped off its head, and the man who was trying to unhook it, it grabbed him right there. It got him good. Yes, I've seen some videos, and they're using the drones now to take the baits out pretty far and lure. So it's pretty cool. We got to do what we got to do. It's a lot cheaper to use a drone than pay how much is gas now to fill up a boat. I mean, man, the drone would be a lot cheaper. Just recharge the batteries. And go drop out a double hook pompano rig with some sand fleas out there, 200 yards, right? Maybe find a big permit cruising along. But I think that's all I got. If you're fishing a tournament tomorrow, good luck, guys. And hopefully there's going to be a lot of fish caught. I think there should be. The water is not crystal clear. It's like, I call it sandy green, which is my favorite color of water to fish, honestly. I don't like the super clear. I like that sandy green, little tinge of sand in it. Those fish usually feed pretty heavily. And we're coming off a period of like 3 straight days of just extreme surf, so the fish should be in shallow, gorging themselves on sand fleas and donax. That's right, Jay. Yep. I appreciate everybody watching. We finally got our shirts. I don't know if you're on our Facebook page. If you're not, we got our shirts in finally. We'll be putting in another order here soon. So if you do want a shirt, you need to leave your name and what size. And they're SPF shirts, SPF 50, and they run about $32. Has the, there it is, broken reel down the arm and the logo. I thought about putting a logo on the back, but I have a few shirts that are the sun shirts, and a few of them have this kind of print on the back. And let me tell you, doing landscaping, that logo gets really hot on the back. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be fishing in them, I don't want that same issue. So we did not put a logo on the back. Thank you, Demetrius. Are you fishing it tomorrow? If you are, I hope to see you there. I'll put your shirt. I think you ordered a shirt, right? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm on YouTube, but I'm not like this YouTube tech, that's for sure. I just shoot videos here and there, and that's it. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll see some big fish wade in anyways. Hopefully you get out there this weekend, catch some fish, post them up. Yep, I got yours. I'm sitting right here behind the phone. I got them in bags, so as soon as I got them in, I separated them all so everybody has their shirts. It'll be pretty cool seeing some of Broken Reel shirts while fishing around Jack's Beach and such. So I appreciate all the support, and thank you guys for watching. And we'll maybe shoot a video tomorrow at weigh-in. I hope, man, you know, the tournaments, you can catch fish all the way up to the tournament. And on tournament day, you know how it goes. But my daughter, last year, she fished 2 of them with me. We fished 2. And both times she won the junior division with a stud whiting. And so she wanted to fish it last week, the tournament. But I told her, I said, well, I'm one of the sponsors, so I'll be at the tournament helping out. And the way I feel, and all of us who put on the tournament, we feel as if you're sponsoring the tournament, you shouldn't fish the tournament and then potentially win it. So she understood that. So she said, we are fishing this tournament this week. I said, yes, we'll fish it, whether it was rough or not. But thankfully, the weather's going to cooperate much better than last year. The last year in the Florida Surf Anglers, guys, we walked over to sand dunes at the spot we fish, and it was northeast at 25 plus. And my wife, she said, are you sure you want to do this? I said, well, we already paid and we got bait, so we're here. And within 10 minutes, my daughter had pulled in the big whiting that won her the tournament for the juniors. And what's funny, it was all whitewashing. So I said, well, we better study the beach for a minute. And there was literally one little area about 20 feet in front of us where the whitewash was coming, and then it would just drop, and you could tell there was a hole right there. Through the rod, the bait over there, the double hook rig with a sinker guy Sputniks, which they held great in that rough weather. It was just a lot of dink fish in that, but not for my daughters, of course. And I put it in the rod holder, and so when she turned around, I said, hey, I think you got a bite. Her rod slammed over and then went slack. She rolled up, big whiting, and I said, well, at least we got you. You got your winner, so she wants that repeat. But I told her it's not that easy. You know, she was 2 for 2, and I said, that doesn't happen like that all the time. That's right, Jay. And my son's fishing it too, and my wife, so it'll be some good family time, whether we catch or not. Hopefully we catch at least dinner. But it'll be fun. We got the baits. we'll see if those ghost shrimp can bring us a winner. If not, I'll use them for redfish and drum later in the week or the start of the next week. But y'all, thanks for watching. And just as a side note, the redfish, speckled trout, and drum are cruising the surf now, guys, as well. So the mullet, bring your cast net to the beach. The mullet are starting to show up in small pods of school. So you catch some mullet, you want to throw them in right behind the breakers. Those trout and reds will cruise right behind the breakers looking for mullet. So it's getting that time of year. And eventually we'll be up on that pier trying to catch some kingfish off the end. But at this moment, it is a slow process. And we've already been waiting for a few years. So what's a few more months, right? All right, guys. I'll catch y'all later. And we'll try to get we'll post a video tomorrow of the winners for the tournament. Catch y'all later.